Someone needs to mute. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our special called board meeting tonight. We're all Zooming and we have one item on our agenda. So at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our chairman, Dr. Eddie Smith.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Daniel, second by Lundy. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 All voting aye. Okay, take action or discuss and take action to amend our 2020-21 calendar.
Okay, thank you. Before we actually talk about the specific dates, I want to take just a moment. I know that many of you have been watching the news and you've heard that there's some issues going on with in-person class. So I wanted to take just a couple of minutes to speak to the need of tonight's board meeting. As you know, there's been a recommendation from the governor's office this week, and that recommendation is that we not start in class face-to-face instruction until September the 28th. And as you know, we've been reporting for the last couple of months that our administrators, in collaboration with our staff, have spent thousands of hours over the past few months taking major steps to prepare for the return of our students. They've worked very long hours. They've worked through many different scenarios to prepare our facilities. They've surveyed our parents and our staff. They've taken that feedback, and they've also had to revise procedures and make the necessary changes for our educational and procedural practices so that we could be certain to be able to return to in-class instruction. And we want to be able to return with the safest and most productive environment. So we are ready, and we're very eager and waiting for the return of our students and staff. We're fully prepared for a return in the hybrid versus virtual model that we had worked on for months in order to prepare. And was very enthusiastic about the return of our students. I want to make a point to let you know, to let our parents know that we were prepared, that the reentry plan developed by the administrators and the faculty and staff here at Barbourville and input from our board members was based on the guidance from the Kentucky Department of Education, from Public Health, and the governor's office. And we felt really good about that plan. And we're ready to implement a hybrid model. We wanted to be able to do what you, our community, had asked us to do. And that was from our surveys from our parents. We had 89% of you that wanted to return to in-class instruction. And we had less than 5% of our students that wanted to do complete virtual. But with that being said, this week, you know, we have had a recommendation that is actually a mandate, because if you've heard the commissioner's statement, you will know that he said that any schools that chose not to adhere to the recommendation would have to go before a committee of the commissioner, the governor's office, public health officials, with the goal of changing our minds before we left the meeting. So, we're very sorry to say that we will not be allowed to return to in-class instruction, and we will not be able to follow our reentry plan that had been worked on for months by our administrative staff. We want to see our kids back in school, but what I can assure you is that we will provide you the best possible virtual experience that is available to our students. Once again, we're back to the drawing board. We're we're changing because at one point we had less than 5% of our students going to virtual, and now we're looking at doing that with 100% of our students. So that actually takes some additional planning. So the reason for tonight's meeting was to talk with the board and ask for an amendment to the calendar, which would actually move our start date from August the 26th to September the 8th. And I'll let Mr. Carey speak to the particular days, but the reason that we are requesting this is because we do have a change to our reentry plan. Our staff begins work tomorrow, of which we thought was the first step to back into class, and it's not going to be. So this will give them some additional days to plan for 100% of their students to be full virtual. It's a whole lot more difficult to issue 100% of our students devices and guidance on how to use all these programs and them not able to come into our building. I will say that the governor and the commissioner did tell us that we could bring kids in small groups. The day they told us about the recommendation. However, now they tell us to wait on guidance about how we can do that. So as soon as we have that guidance, we will share that with our community as well as with our board, of course. But our reentry plan was ready. It's just, it has to be adjusted, and we want to be able to provide the very best experience. So the administrative team and I also sent surveys to the staff, and of all the staff that answered the surveys, they feel like that they could spend that time getting more prepared to do 100% virtual and have a little more flexibility to help our parents who have issues with daycare and those types of things. So we're asking the board to push our start date back to September the 8th. And for our parents out there listening, that will still be virtual. It will not be in class. We will know around September the 28th what the next step will be. And as I've told you all every month, flexibility is a must here, and patience. And obviously I've been proven correct. This time I really wanted to be wrong. However, we're not going to be able to come back, and we have to make some adjustments. So by delaying the start, that allows parents a few more days also that they are not having to be online. What we're hoping is that we can get this guidance about small groups, and we can bring students in, particularly grade levels at a time, like we had planned to do in our hybrid model with safety first, and walk through the devices, issue the devices, talk about the programs that they're going to use, and teach the kids that don't have as much experience with those programs how to do those things. And in addition to that, parents, please be out there watching social media. We've already had several teachers, our digital learning coaches, upload videos about how to use the formats that we're using. And there's lots of tips and tutorials, and we'll be doing that throughout. Mr. Carey, if you can speak to the changes in the dates in regards to the calendar so that our board will know those things, and so will our parents, what we're asking for.
Just to make sure I'm looking at the right calendar, we've had so many, Ms. Dixon, is that opening day for teachers was on the 8th, right?
That's correct.
First day for kids on the 9th.
That's correct.
Everything is left the same. That's 185 contract days for teachers, 163 school days for students, and that is 1,073 hours, I think is what is on the calendar.
1,062 hours are the required hours for the instructional academic year for students. So this takes us above that. However, as you all know, you said it, I think, Mr. Smith, at one of our meetings, it's important to us to be able to provide the most educational experiences that we can for our kids. So we were hoping to be able to stick with those more than 163 instructional days. However, we're in a pandemic and things have changed. So in order to take some of the stress off of our parents and to be well prepared for complete virtual, I think this is the best option for our families as well as our staff.
the G days you're looking at on our calendar are the planning days for teachers. We left the professional development days the same days that we had them. And this puts us past the holiday of Labor Day. And we took a day off the Friday before that weekend where the X is up on September the 4th.
That gives your teachers the Friday and the Monday of Labor Day weekend without those being work days or growth days. I would like to ask the board if you have any particular questions for us about the calendar and the processes that we've talked about a little bit tonight. I do want to make sure that our parents know that we will be sending lots of messages. I want to remind them that Tiger Tip-Off is still scheduled for the 19th, and hopefully we're going to push superintendents for some very quick guidance on bringing those small groups in. Our administrative team has been working on schedules already to allow us to do that. And one of the things they told us yesterday was that they didn't want it to be repetitive. That I didn't hear that out of the first meeting, but yesterday they don't want it to be repetitive groups because they still, I guess, don't want that traffic. So I'm still waiting to see what that's going to look like until we get the additional guidance. But our hopes are that we can bring in half of each of those grade levels following all the reentry plans that we had for the hybrid model, and have kids to come in and spend a day or a few hours, a couple days, going through the technology pieces and showing them all the features that we have. And then also our kids that need special services, that have IEPs or require special services, we want an opportunity to bring those kids in. We would love to bring our seniors in for senior seminar. Ms. Chafin and I have talked a lot about that, doing some additional things with our seniors with essay writing and interviews and presentation things. So if they will let us utilize these small groups in that way, we want to begin to do that as soon as possible. Again, everything we do will be around the safety guidelines that we're issued.
Okay, so anyone got any comments or questions? If not, do we have a motion?
Oh,
Yep.
I just had a comment. Basically, I know that the potential is there to, even though if we vote as a board to amend the schedule, there's a possibility with everything going on, we may have to do this again for spring. Would that be something to maybe something to think about? And definitely our parents and our students know that perhaps we may be having this same conversation about a return after the Christmas break.
I do think so. And you're exactly right. September the 28th, they gave us that date, but they will be looking as we get closer to September the 28th. And if you've been watching all the news, if you've been listening to CDC and the actual numbers that they're giving us, I would not be surprised if we were not delayed beyond September the 28th. At this point, we have to be, again, flexible, and we have to understand that this too shall change. And I expect that it will. It's going to be a very difficult year for working parents, for parents and grandparents who are raising their children. And we are going to do everything we can to have constant contact. We want our kids here. We're all devastated that we do not get to bring our kids back. It bothers us. We really feel like the administrative teams and our staff, we've talked about it. We really feel like the best place for our kids are right here with us, interacting, so that they have us. to rely on, and we have them because we miss them as bad as they miss us. And also we feel very strongly that the learning at the high levels come from the class discussions, from other kids discussing things and asking questions. But we are going to do everything that we can to provide the best quality. We are flexible, as we've had some requests from parents about having to do virtual real time all day long. So we're going to look at doing a schedule for every grade level so that the parents know what part of the day is the live instruction. And if they can tune in, then they can. We all, as a board, we've always agreed that we still have very high expectations for our students, and we still have those, and we'll have those through this process. They will still be expected to do their work and do the things that need to be done for them to learn and grow. However, we realize that with parents working and not being home, that sometimes things don't get done. So we're going to build a schedule for each grade level that particularly tells them when the live instruction takes place, when the breaks are, and then everything will be recorded. The work the kids have to do will be uploaded. So, we're going to have to do a lot of tutorials for kids that are younger because they don't have the experience that our older kids do. And every day is not going to be perfect, but we are going to also put in place people to make calls every day to those kids that we don't see active online and kids who are falling behind in their work. But I will say, if we have parents listening, and particularly if we have kids, that we still expect our kids to learn and grow. And that's what our teachers will be working very hard to do.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dixon.
Thank you.
We have a motion to amend the calendar, so our start date would be September the 8th.
Make the motion to amend the calendar to September 28th.
It's
8th.
8th.
September 8th is opening
Thank you.
day. The kids will start on September the 9th.
I make that motion.
A motion made by Dr. Reeves. We have a second.
I'll second it.
Second made by Ms. Lundy. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All voting aye. Thank you all.
Thank you all very much.
We have a
Thank you all.
motion to adjourn.
I'll make a mo-
Will?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we're adjourned.
Shortest meeting yet. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.